That's fine. So now let me tell you who Ized is. Okay. Now, how many of you remember Max Okada? That's what they call them. Those guys, their bikes were always yellow. You go should answer me now. How many of you remember Max Okada?
That's in Lagos.
Yes, now who yes, okay, in Lagos. Let's
Sorry, I don't live in Lagos, so I might not know about them.
You don't live in
I
Lagos.
do. I remember them.
Okay, all right. So Ized used to work for Max Okada. All right. Ized used to be somebody, or rather is somebody that when she agrees to speak, at your event, you go and do something. You understand? So I have always looked at her and felt that, as in, how she's able to achieve all she does, or rather, how she's able to do all she does, and how she has, put together and helped some other people do that. She runs a clan, a community, one of the largest digital communities in Africa called DigiClan. I belong to that community, right? So that was the first place where I actually had an opportunity to, to get really, really close to her, right? She has also worked with CNN, worked with many international and local organizations, but in spite of all of this, she's still regular, down to earth, still regular Ized. The first thing that struck me with her was she's from Edo State. Abi? Ized, you're from Edo State.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And I was born in Edo State. So that was my first attraction to her. That was like, who's this Edo babe that, that's running things here in Lagos. All right. And, she has been a great mentor. She has been a great support. I owe a lot of the things that happen, in my social media space to her. All right. And I'm very grateful that she is here to talk to us today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ized. Today, she's going to be talking about female digital entrepreneurship, opportunities in the digital economy for women. All right. You got the floor, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. I'm just Ized. Don't mind anything that Victor said. Regular Ized. Uanikhehi. Yeah, from Edo State. But I can't remember the last time somebody used my state to describe me. Victor, we don't do that anymore. Forward thinking. So nice to be here. So for me, as a person and as a brand, it is really, 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 really critical that we're using our talents and our skills to help other people achieve the same, especially women. So they say I'm particular to women, but they can say, especially they can say in the workplace. For context, I moved to Lagos in 2014. I sort of always tell this story. I moved to Lagos in 2014 on the 14th of March, actually. So in a few days, I'll be celebrating another 7 years in Lagos. Wow, 7, wow.
Where did you come from? Where were you before you moved?
I was in Abuja. I was working at a company called Studio 24. I know that a couple of you know the photo studio. I was managing the studio at the Wuse branch in Abuja. And then one day I tweeted something online. This is a slightly personal story, so I'll just say it as fast as I can. One day I was online and I tweeted something very random. I was thinking about people that could not have children. And I remember how they used to tease the women in my family that were very fertile. They can't touch us. So if you touch us, baby. So I just tweeted it very random that I want to have a baby. I want to be a surrogate mother for somebody, like for a woman who cannot give birth. I want to be a surrogate mother. I was just one of those random conversations that you put online. And as soon as I did that, maybe about 30 minutes later, one couple reached out to me from Canada. and they said the wife could not have bed due to complications. And they saw my post, and it was like a random. And they asked me if I was serious. So I said yes. At that time, I wasn't even sure if I was serious, but And then all of a sudden, there was a lot of conversations. Lawyers were calling me, asking me to sign documents. And in the middle of all of this, right, they said, we want to do a background check on you. I know how this story leads to. So it's an awkward story of how it leads to where I am. So they said they wanted to do a background check on me. I was like, oh, that's fine. I'm a very nice, awesome person. I don't do bad. I have never cheated anybody. There's no police record of me. So go and do your background check. But for some reason, I decided to also search myself online to see, let me know what these people will find in case there's something I'm not seeing. So I searched my name online, and it was only one page of Google that came out. You have to have been really inconsequential for one page of Google to come out. And the page had my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook, my Twitter profile, and nothing else actually. And for some reason, rather than make me happy that these people will not find anything bad, it made me very, very, very sad that I got a first class in biochemistry. I graduated. I was doing the things that I love to do. I was making some sort of money online, but I didn't have anything that maybe my children will look at and say, oh, that's our mommy that did this. Or it was almost like I was just living my life for salary and for rent and for food. I wasn't doing anything extra. And at that moment, work just became too much. I wasn't earning badly, to be very honest, in Abuja standards. I was staying in my own apartment. It just became too much. And I'd only recently discovered digital media, and I'd fallen in love with digital marketing. And I just got up one day and said, let me go and look for companies in Abuja that would do digital marketing. I went around a lot of them. Then Abuja is still a government town, but it was mostly government businesses. I didn't have the connects that I needed. And so Abuja wasn't just the place, it was Lagos. So I left Abuja and headed to Lagos. 14th of March, sorry, I know that you're signaling me to hurry up. I'll be very fast. 14th of March, 2014, with 13,000 naira.
2014.
Yes. With 13,000 naira, 13,500 to be exact. My bag of clothes, my shoes, because I'd paid rent. It was slightly more, but I'd paid rent before I left Abuja and I came to Lagos. And in that space of 7 years, everything I'm about to tell you today is the same strategy that I used to grow myself, my personal brand, my business. I have worked for Fortune 500 companies. I have taught this same social media for USAID. I have spoken across the country based on these things that I have learned and I have done. I have worked for CNN Africa. I've worked for, being the director of marketing for Max Okada. I had my own startup, Tora Africa, and now I am the founder and CEO of Lose Media, an agency that only started last year, but is doing very, very well in the digital marketing space. We launched the VBank brand online, and in the space of 9 months, we got over 300,000 downloads for a new bank and well over 4 billion naira. We're working for other brands and they're all doing very well. So these are tested, proven strategies that I used to build my personal brand. Some of them I learned by mistake. Some of them I learned deliberately along the way. So I'll just run you through conversations. If you would please go to the next page.
Yes.
I know you wanted me to speak strictly on digital, but there are also offline marketing strategies that you would also
fire away.
Okay.
All right.
So for again, right, I know that this is also for women, but I think that I also like to talk to both male and female. This is Women's Week, so I know it's focused on women, but these strategies can also be used by a man to grow their brand. So number one, develop expertise. Now, thank God for Google. and thank God for social media, and thank God for access to digital media. Thank God for access to money for data. No matter how small, there's always a data plan for your budget, whether it's a 300 naira data plan or a 200 naira data plan. Because online, there are sites like Coursera, sites like Udemy, and several other sites that I use to learn social media marketing. I didn't go to school for social media marketing, but I made myself a promise every single day, learn something about what you're trying to do. That way you become top in your field. And when USAID is looking for somebody to come and train their staff, they won't think twice about calling you all the way from Lagos and flying you first class to Abuja to come and train their staff. So develop expertise. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest because you are investing in yourself. So develop expertise. Roles are becoming more specialized every day. So it's not okay to know one thing. You have to develop the expertise for that thing, because every day they're looking for the best in SEO marketing, or they're looking for the best in a specific subject. So I'm going to incline towards digital, but whatever your field is, pick a niche and develop expertise. When it comes to job placement, a lot of people talk about how experienced a candidate is. However, it is the expertise that helps you land the job and to offer you great job security, because they are very reluctant to sack people who are experts in their careers or who are experts in their field, because they know that the minute they tell the person to go, somebody else is there willing to take up that, give the person a job. If I announce now that I need to work, I know that in the next 10 minutes, and I'm not joking, in the next 10 minutes, I will get job offers, because I've been able to constantly develop learning in my field. So learn. Develop about that. I really wish I was one to
Mute.
Can you please go to the next page?
Mute.
Hi, Victor. Can you please go to the next page?
Yes, please. I just had to mute. Okay, next page.
So number 2, take stock. If you don't know where you are, you can't know where you are going to. So take stock of where you are at this moment. What is your degree of specialization? For context, I read biochemistry, but what I wanted to do was in the marketing field. That was my career and priority, and that was what motivated me. What is the characteristics of your dream job? And if you don't outline what your dream jobs are in terms of salary or what you want to earn, even if it's a business person, or your growth potential or your work environment, right? The chances are you will not get it because you don't know what you're looking for. It now becomes an anywhere belle face. They gave me a job. Is it good? You don't know. Is it better? You don't know. I actually research in my field when I'm about to take on a new job. What are they offering the men in this field? Because women tend to take less, same position. For context, we were looking for a content person. We did an interview last week. Hello?
Sorry, muted them. Please continue.
Okay. We did an interview last week, and we had both male and female for this same interview. One of the ladies that we thought was better than the rest, the best actually, and we're going to hire her. We asked her what her potential salary was for that role. We had, at the time we were doing this hiring, we had 400,000 naira as a monthly salary for that role. We asked her, because we even thought she was better than what we were looking for. We asked her what her potential salary for that role was. She said she wanted to receive 180,000 naira. That's what this lady asked us. One guy who came for the interview that didn't do 50% as well as this lady. We asked him what his salary, what he wanted to receive as salary. He said 600,000 naira, but he's willing to negotiate down to 550. Because ladies tend to put themselves down in their careers. So you need to know what your career priorities are, what motivates you, what are the characteristics of your dream job. What do you want to earn in terms of salary or in terms of the growth potential for your business? How do you want your work environment to be? Where do you want your office to be because of commutes? Find out what drives your career advancement. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And how will you navigate to that place? For me, what I did was when I came to Lagos, I had a list of everybody that I thought was important to my career goals, and how I even saw a clear path on how they will help me get my career goals. They were not my friends. They didn't know me from Adam, but I can clearly tell you, all of them now, we are on a call basis. I listed their names down and what they were doing. Some of them I couldn't reach. I reached them by social media. I tagged them. I told them my plans. I discussed. So it wasn't me entering their DMs to beg them for money or telling them, please, can you mentor me? I wasn't looking for mentorship. I was looking for somebody that would point me in the right direction. The only reason I was able to do this because I had a clearly articulated set of goals that was helping me towards my vision. So you need to have a clearly articulated set of goals. You can't achieve your goals if you don't actually have goals. So it's not about praying or working hard to be better. What are you working towards? Prepare for job disruption, especially in this 2021 with everybody going digital, and identify if this thing don't work for me, what's my second option? How can I learn better? Or how can I improve on this niche just in case, it becomes a very tight job market? So identify your reskilling opportunities, but you must take stock. Victor.
Next slide.
So number 3 is to develop and define and develop your personal brand. Now, remember that I didn't have a search profile. People didn't know me. But I needed to define my personal brand. Who do I want to be known as? What do I want to be known for? What was the most important thing that I wanted to be known for? I even had my own objectives. I put my objective down on my social media profile. Sometimes at the time it was critical. I'm not saying that you have to write, I want to be this, but for me, it was that critical, so that in case anybody looked at my profile for whatever reason, they were very clear about who this person was and what this person was trying to achieve. So I defined my own personal brand. Now, I'm a talkative. I like to talk and I like to tell stories. But at the time on social media, it was critical that I wasn't jumping on just any gist, because I needed a brand that looks like somebody that was professional in this. So I even had a burner account. I don't know if people know what the burner account is. I had a burner account that I used to tease. But on my personal page, on my profile, it was clear that, they're discussing about how somebody can use 100 naira to cook that.
We missed you there. Your network.
A call has been come. Yeah. So I'm connected to my phone and the calls was coming in. My apologies. So the only reason I get into conversations that everybody is going on about online is if I can. Yeah. Hello. Is that for me?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so let me just go ahead. So the only reason I could get into conversation, there's a feedback echo. Susan, I think it's you. Please, can you please mute your mic? Thank you so much, Susan. So whilst people would jump on any conversation, I will bring in the social media angle and the digital media angle and how. So for context, 2 weeks ago, they were talking about Gen Z versus millennials. And it was a very interesting conversation, and the whole of social media was going wild about it. But when I jumped into the conversation, what I was talking about was how to market to Gen Zs and how to market to millennials, and the benefits of marketing to both, the strategies around how to push your brand towards Gen Zs and the strategy to push your brands towards millennials. For the tweet got over 300 retweets. Some people even put it on their blog. Now, if you don't define and develop your professional brand, if you are jumping on that conversation to say, oh, Gen Zs, they don't like to cook or they don't like to clean. I know social media is for fun, right? But sometimes, or for it's your relaxed sport. But sometimes if you're trying to build a career as a woman and trying to be defining your professional brand, you have to use all your social media assets to show that I know what I know and I know how I know what I know. So define your professional brand by, 1 second. A call keeps coming onto my phone. I should just probably block it. Define your professional brand. You can articulate what you want your colleagues or your employer or your clients to know about you. Your body of work, your career timelines, your previous positions, your reputation, what skills are you known for, what is your expertise, what you've been able to accomplish. Even if you haven't accomplished anything, you can talk about what you are looking forward to accomplishing, your network, and your definitive skills. What skills are you bringing to the table? When you have defined your brand, you can then develop an elevator pitch or a paragraph summary statement that distills your professional brand and that clearly states who you are as a professional. It can be added to your resume or to your CV or onto your LinkedIn profile. You can incorporate it into the conversations you are having on social. Victor, please.
Excellent.
Network. Now, this is the most critical part of this conversation. And the fact that you're here means that you already take this very seriously. The most powerful tool you can have in your career development is effective networking. I told you guys that I started Lose Media last year, May. That was because I started a company before Lose Media called Tora Africa. That had to do with the Okada brand that someone who woke up one morning and all of us, Lagos will not contain all of us. So he canceled Okada in Lagos. And it was a critical point because the job of Tora was to train Okada riders and deliver to them to companies like GoKada or Oride or Max Okada. So all of a sudden we didn't have jobs because because we're not training Okada riders to ride Okada. We're training Okada riders to be professional, to dress well, to know how to use Google Maps, and then deliver them to mobility companies like GoKada. And all of a sudden they say GoKada, Max Okada, Oride cannot work in Lagos, and then we didn't have a job. We woke up one morning because they didn't have a job, we didn't have a job. So one of the things that happened was, I know my core, and my core is marketing. So I said, okay, I was going to go back to start a marketing company. I didn't have the cash to start a marketing company because everything I had invested into Tora, bought motorcycles, rented a training center, 6 training centers across Lagos. So we're broke. We even borrowed money to develop Tora. So we're broke, and we're owing. At the point I needed to start Lose Media, it was through one of my networks that I met somebody who is the MD of a bank that I didn't want a loan because I was already owing so much and I just needed an investment. I was able to gather his group of friends. So my own one personal network now used his own network to gather themselves together. And I was able to get an investment of over 150 million to start my social media company. Now, if I didn't have that network, if I hadn't built a brand that network could trust, it would have been a very difficult position for me to have been able to raise money to go ahead to start Lose Media and ensure that Lose Media was in the position where it is right now. So networking is the most critical part of everything you're going to do for career development. You need to network as communities. The reason why there's a clan of social media marketers, it's called DigiClan Africa, is because as a community, we're able to learn together, grow together. Someday somebody will need somebody that needs my expertise. And then they'll call me and say, Ized, they need you so place. They need you so place. And I've gotten travel opportunities. I've gotten speaking opportunities across the world because somebody knew somebody that could make a phone call for me. So you have to network, and to be successful in networking, it needs to be purposeful, specific, and reciprocal. You don't network with people because they have money. It's because they have the opportunities, or you think that they have the brand that will get you to the next point where you need to be. I have a new client that started working with us just about 4 days ago. The person who connected the guy to me is not somebody that has, in fact, I used to dash her money, let me not lie. All of a sudden, she called me about this client. I was even very reluctant to speak to the client because at that point, I needed clients that they were high paying. But she said, this client is good, talk to him. I spoke to him. He's currently my highest client as at March. He didn't even negotiate. That's the thing. People will negotiate. He didn't even negotiate. So your network doesn't necessarily mean somebody who has money. Just ensure that you're talking to the right people and you're very purposeful about what you need them for, or what you want them to do in the course of your career development. You need somebody to be speaking for you in the room when you are not there. And be prepared to communicate your value clearly. Offer to share your expertise. They say your free content is your audition. So sometimes when people call me to come and speak at events and they're surprised that I come to the event, it's not because I know my free content is my audition and I can give back. Tomorrow, one of you in this call or in this room will hear, oh, we need a social media expert that can do this. Yes, I was at one event that this lady Ized spoke. I think we can call her. It's your free content is your audition. Sometimes you have to give things for free, but no, don't always give for free. Be very purposeful. Increase your network. The people you talk to on social media, why do you talk to them? Is it because they have gist, or because they know every celebrity that is cheating on their husbands or their wives or something, or because they are headed somewhere in their career? I recently also signed a fintech company. Also, I met this guy on Twitter. It was when they were about to sign SLA that I met him physically. So sometimes, right, it's your social network, it's your Facebook network, it's your Instagram network, but be very purposeful about what you're using your channels for and ensure that you're communicating your value very clearly.
Next slide.
Yes, please. Thought leadership. Now, the only way they know that you have value or that you are creating value or that you are this expert is to show that, is to demonstrate it. Yes. Thought leadership is like content marketing. It is a way for people and for brands to actually demonstrate this expertise that you've been learning about and this networking that you have been doing, and position yourself as a leader in a certain field or in a certain sector. There was a time in my career where I would wake up every morning, I would go to social media, I would say, let me talk to you guys about how to use Facebook to do so and so, or how to use Twitter to do so and so, or how to use Instagram to achieve this. Let me talk to you guys about, because I was constantly showing thought leadership in that field, in the field where I wanted to be known for. It was easy for people to just tag me. Ized is the social media person or is the digital marketing person. For context, I didn't apply to work at CNN. I was actually approached via my Facebook DMs. I got a message on my Facebook Messenger, and that's how I got the CNN Africa job. So if you show thought leadership on your social media or with your friends or in your communities, in the WhatsApp group where, for example, like DigiClan, somebody asks a question like, please, does anybody know how to do SEO, something? If you do know, you share, so that tomorrow when they say, oh, we need an SEO expert, the person will point to you. So you need to start showing thought leadership. It's like content marketing. Just position yourself as a leader in a certain field or in a certain sector by demonstrating thought leadership. And I think the key word here, I wrote that the key verb here is to demonstrate. Always demonstrate your expertise. And that's the best way to show thought leadership. So in continuation of thought leadership, you have to actually prove that you know what you say you know and can do what you say you can do. Utilize your blogs. People start blogs, social media channels. You can even use print press. So at some point too, I would send articles about, so print people, print people, surprisingly, if it's a great content, they don't charge you for it. They are always looking for really good content to put on their pages. So from time to time, I will write an article to Guardian or to Business Day or to, a blog or to even Bella Ninja. And for some reason, they will print it. And it was just me showing my thought leadership. So much to the point that there are certain things that you search, Ized will come up because of some of these articles that I've shared. It was to Tribune, to This Day. It was anybody that would literally print the article, I will send it to them. So you can utilize blogs, you can utilize social media channels. You can send what you have written about what you know to a specific popular blog. That way, you are actually advertising yourself. So leverage your network by identifying your access routes, because now you have created capacity by networking. You have created capacity by learning. Remember, the first one was learning. You've created capacity by building a brand for yourself. And now you're now creating capacity by now using all of these things that you've done to leveraging on them to your target opportunities. You can then promote your skills and expertise via your very, very strong personal brand that you have built.
Next slide.
Mentoring, get a mentor. So sometimes when I get to the slides, it's a bit, people say, I met somebody who I want to mentor me, but the person is so busy. I said 2 years ago, my mentors didn't know that they were my mentors, but they were my mentors. I didn't need to reach out to them to say, come and mentor me. Because I get some of those messages. I said, I want to learn from you, come and mentor me. Man, fam, I'm busy building a business. I'm busy ensuring that my surname, as difficult as it is, look at this surname, Uanikhehi, doesn't have a W after the U. It's the funkiest surname ever. I'm busy ensuring that people around the world can pronounce it. I spoke at an event yesterday that had Elon Musk as a speaker too. I mean, I want people to be able to say, oh, Ized, Uanikhehi very easily. So how do I have the time to do all of that, build a career, build a business? I'm still struggling in this game that we are in. As much as people think that, oh, Ized has reached, I'm still trying to grow my brand more. And then somebody says, Ized, come and teach me. Come, I want to learn from you. How? Where? When? When? I didn't sleep till 1 o'clock yesterday because I have a brand and a client that needs to do a photo shoot. We didn't have anywhere to do the photo shoot. I said this morning was when we decided to go and rent out an Airbnb just to do a photo shoot because we needed a very particular scene. We've been working on the clothes and all of those elements. And then at what time do I have to then take a mentee and teach? But there are specific people that I end up working with and I'm their mentor. So sometimes mentor relationships are not necessarily in your face because people are busy. They are growing their businesses and they're growing their family. You can't force yourself into their face. But there are ways to learn from them. There are ways to even get into their network. There are ways to be the person I was talking about that invested in the business news media. He's currently my biggest mentor right now. I learn a lot from him. There was a time he had to even create a WhatsApp group and he was teaching me every day. But when he didn't have time, because he's the MD of 13 companies, he's the MD of a group of companies that has 13 companies under the group. When he didn't have that time anymore, it was left for me to go and be following what he's saying on social media, what he's saying on his personal blogs, what he's saying on his channel. And if I see anyone that I think that I don't understand, I send him a question, sir. I don't understand what you meant when you said this. He takes his time when he has the time to explain to me. And sometimes mentor-mentee relationships are slowly built before it can become something but they're very important because this same person was the one who went ahead to go and call 8 of his friends to join him to invest in my business. So a mentor-mentee relationship is critical because it helps you to hone the leadership skills. It helps you to develop new talents. And a mentor offers insights, perspectives, and provides career direction, especially if it's a mentor that is in your field. You don't want to make mistakes now. So you already have a list of all the mistakes that they have made. They tell you all the mistakes that they have made and you learn from it so that you don't repeat the mistakes that they have made. And when identifying your mentor, keep these goals in mind. Keep your goals, the goals that you set for yourself in mind. And know what are your strengths and weaknesses and how can a mentor guide you? And then manage expectations. Because somebody is your mentor doesn't mean that he doesn't get tired or he doesn't get busy, or there are times when he's not cranky. Or so some people place their mentors on a pedestal such that, I mean, I'm pretty certain that if some of my mentees see me twerking in the club, they'll go on social media and go crazy like, I saw Ized. Is this the person that you say should mentor? From time to time, I like to get down too. So manage your expectations because these mentors are human beings. I mean, I don't know how to twerk, but if I knew how to twerk, I'd definitely be twerking in the club. So, but it's not the conversation we're having here. So manage your expectations. And it doesn't have to be somebody far. You can start with a mentor and you need to grow your mentors. So at every stage in your career and every stage in your life, your mentors can be different. I had a mentor for thought leadership. I had a mentor for digital marketing. I had a mentor who was a CEO because I wanted to, at the time, I wasn't a CEO, but I was looking towards becoming a CEO. So I had a mentor who was already where I wanted to be in 8 years. And at the time that person was my mentor, I wasn't anywhere close to being a CEO of the kind of organization that he was in. But right now, I'm working towards that because I put that goal in my mind. So always have your goal in mind when choosing a mentor and look both within your and outside your organization. Also, most importantly, you become a mentor. They say the fastest way for something to stick is by teaching others. So when you learn something and you give it back, you learn something, you give it back, it gives you great satisfaction. You feel like a leader. And when you start to feel like a leader, you start to develop leadership skills, you grow, you hone your leadership skills, and you're able to expand your network. And always consider where you offer the most value. Don't say, oh, I can't be a mentor for this, or I can't be, just always consider where you can offer the most value, and then deliver that value to potential mentees that are looking up to you. Because as we go up, we should always drag people up with us. And I think that I've come to the end of, can you go down one more slide? Oh, very, 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 very important. In fact, I said networking was important, but this is the most important one. Start now. All of you, I'm sure there's nothing I've said here that you haven't heard a million times, or that you haven't heard before, or that you haven't heard other people say. But people always say, I'm not ready to start. Maybe next week, or maybe I'll start working towards my goal when I get my master's, or I'll start working towards my goal when I get this, or when I get some money, or when I get... If you don't start now, you are constantly going to procrastinate and push your goals forward. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of his time has not discovered the value of his life. That was said by Charles Darwin. Put your heart and mind and soul into even your smallest acts, and that will be the secret to your success. Start now. From wherever you are, with whatever you have, there's always something to do, towards your goals. You have a long list. So pick the ones that you can start doing now as you work towards your goals. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's Ized. She didn't show her face, but that's her face.
I think I'm actually finer than this now. It's just because I didn't wake up today.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Any questions, guys? You can unmute yourself now. You can unmute yourself, clap, say whatever you want to say. Any questions?
Okay, I have a question about this start now, because like I did something, I started something, and then I stopped, and I don't know how to start again, because it's always like, oh, don't worry, I'll do it tomorrow afternoon.
Pamela,
can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Just tell us your name, tell us what you do, then ask the question.
I should tell name and what first?
Your name, what you do, then ask your question.
Okay, my name is Pamela Agboga. I am a content creator, writer, social media person, and an author. So, like I said, this thing you say start, for those of us that have started before, tried before, and then fall into a slump, how do we start again? Because it's so easy to know that, oh, I started before, I can always, I'll do it tomorrow morning. As in, what can we do to push ourselves? That's the question.
School fees.
Over to you.
School fees. I mean, my motivation is school fees. My son's school fees is very high. I don't need anything. Are we not in Lagos together, Pamela? Keep in your area.
I need to get now. So if I'm getting you right, what you're saying is you must have a goal. There must be something concrete I put.
Something must motivate.
And that will push me. Okay.
You have to have your fire. Something must motivate you. For me, right? Absolutely. What was motivating me was I had a 5-year plan. And then it became a 5-year plus 1 plan. So for context, I had a 5-year plan, but I met my 5-year plan in 2 years. And then it failed, Pamela. It crashed. Like, I know I said, but last year I didn't have, oh God, I was owing over 8 million naira. I didn't have a business. I didn't know what I was going to do. I woke up one morning, suddenly there was a paper on a message passing online that they've canceled. I didn't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Why did they wait for me to borrow money, sir, and rent and buy chair?
Before they cancel everything.
Why did they tell me before they were going to do it? So sometimes you fail and you fail woefully. Although people say it's not failure, but I know I'm not counting it as failure. I count it all as learning. Especially when you're working in a field where government policy can wake up one morning and just bite you in the chest. I was going to say bite you in the ass, but this is a very straightforward program. So I didn't say it particularly. But you have to have something that motivates you. You have to have something that gets you out of bed in the morning. Luckily for me, I am very, very passionate about digital marketing. You can't even sit with me 15 minutes. I would have told you something about digital marketing. Sometimes it's frustrating to my friend. I relate everything, even Bible passages, to digital marketing. If I go to church now and they say, come and preach, I start with what is in your hands. And I give the story about how, every time in the Bible, people pray to God about wanting something. God will say, God always directed them to what was in their hands. Moses was at the front of the Red Sea. The Egyptians were gaining on them. They were scared. And then he was praying. And it was the thing in his hands that God said, point to the sea, the staff. And he pointed it to the sea and it parted. And there was the Samson, the Philistines were coming to kill him, and he was scared, he prayed, and then there was the jawbone of the donkey that was there, so I always say, what is in your hands? This is my phone that is in my hand, and it's my phone that I'll use to chop, and it's my phone that gives me access to learning, and it gives me access to digital marketing. So I'm always very passionate about what I do, and I constantly put it in the conversations, so it motivates me because I love digital marketing. But there's also other things. You find what motivates you in this field and keep going. Don't say because I started and I stopped and I'll start again next week. And if you're not ready to start now on your own, collaborate. Sometimes it's always better to do things with other people. Find somebody who is on this journey with you and say, hey, fam, let's go together. We are going in the same direction. They say if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But going fast does not mean that
we'll go far.
That you will get there. But if you want to go far, go with others. That's why in DigiClan we preach the spirit of Ubuntu, collaboration, community. Go with people, work with people. There's a lot of working alone. That's why people get tired and stop. I have a very, very amazing partner. His name is Charles. We fight all the time. As a matter of fact, currently we might be fighting. But when it comes to this business that we're working at, the day I'm tired is the one that is dragging. The day he's tired, I'm the one that is dragging. At some point, two of us were dragging each other. But the thing is, we are going because there's collaboration and community. There are times when you just get frustrated with everything and want to give up. So find a partner in this journey and then go together.
Can I just add to that quickly?
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just add to that quickly. It could be this movie, Kickboxer, where there was Van Damme, and Van Damme was training. So when he was with the master, right? The master told him to run, and he was just jogging and playing. So what the master did was gave him a piece of meat and told him to put that meat on his, on his lap, somewhere from his waist down. So he just hung the meat on his pants, and it was just falling over his lap, right? So he was wondering what the meat will do. You understand? But this was what the meat did. They had a dog in the compound. The minute the dog saw the meat, the dog started chasing him. Now, you remember they told him to run. He was just playing. He was just, The minute the dog started chasing him, that run started running. All right? So what am I trying to say? He didn't have any...
Or your motivation.
Exactly.
School
He
fees
didn't, he didn't have anything pushing him. There was nothing to run away from. There was nothing scaring him. So he was just playing. But when the dog started chasing him, he started running. All right. So you have to find, as she said, you have to find your own motivation. You have to find the thing that pushes you stronger than what is stopping you. What is pushing you has to be stronger than what is stopping you. All right. There was a time when I used to stop for every dog that barks. All right. Every mosquito that bites me, everything that happens on the road, I will stop and say, this is that. But it got to a time I realized that all those stops were wasting my time. All right. So I just breezed through. Somebody is barking. Somebody is biting me. what am I looking at? I'm looking at the goal. All right. I'm not distracted. I'm not seeing the obstacles. I'm looking at the finish line. All right. So every morning you have to remind yourself, say, man, you have to do this. So, all right. It might be difficult. You might not like it. It might be tiring. You might sleep 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. It might be difficult for others to even understand why you're sleeping at that time. Okay. But you know where you are going to. You know the goals you have set. All right. And you know you must achieve them. All right. So find your motivation. That's the thing I would just say. Find your motivation. Any other question?
I saw a question about telling my story on. I'm very big about telling my failure stories. So I used to go to women's meetup and ask why do we come to these meetups and then we sit down and everybody's talking about how I raised $2 million and how I did this. Why? What? So you people don't have issues in your office, and so I'm always big about hearing what things the people face and how they overcame. So I've actually told this story, this Okada story, on Tech Point. I think it was a Tech Point blog. It actually had a lot of readers. I think as at the last time I checked, it was well over 3,000 clicks on read. But I'm always happy to tell you from whatever angle to say. So I will just drop my email on the messaging portal, and you can ask.
If there are no other questions, I have a few questions, Shao. Can I ask? Oh, you have a question. Somebody has a question. Who has the question now? Oh, hi, Ifoma. Oh, hi, Ifoma Okafo. Hi. Hi.
Okay, hello.
Good afternoon. Okay, so please go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm more of a digital marketing enthusiast, and I'm always very curious.
You're always on what?
There was the time I had someone say, "Oh, do this thing on TikTok." As in, I'm trying to do something. There was a time a friend of mine was trying to have a good social media engagement and grow her followers. So she tries to do everything that has to do with content, meaning, product, testimonials, everything. She put it out there and she was very consistent with how the things go. But she was forever troubled that she wasn't really gaining followers like that. At the time, it was almost like we wanted to blame it on Instagram, but she did it all, include everything that has to do with, including hashtags, she did it all. But this thing wasn't doing, and that was supposed to be her goal to grow followers, and she wasn't getting it. So I don't know. Is there an exact mathematics to this thing aside the common thing we all know? Thank you.
Ized, you wanna take a look at
I
that?
actually started talking, but I was muted, so sorry. So, Miss Ifoma, or I'll just say Ifoma, if you don't mind. So for me, right, I've been in this field long enough to know that it's not a one size fits all, but the barrier to entry for this job is so low. It's so low. Anybody that has a phone now, tomorrow, next week, and they think that they understand social media because they've done one post that 300 people retweeted. They'll just tell you that they're either a social media influencer or they're a social media marketer. The barrier to entry for social media marketing is so low. You only need a phone with data. So, but there are a couple of us, there are a few of us who know this thing and who understand that it's not a one size fits all for all companies. A company approached us yesterday and said they want this, they want this, they want this. If we had given them everything that they wanted, there is no way they wouldn't have paid at least for the duration of time that they wanted it. They wouldn't have paid at least 60 something million. But by the time we reviewed, we just know that they just need some of these. They don't need everything. We actually did an analysis. We did an audit of their brand. We went on social media. We just gave them recommendations. At the end of the day, what was charged to them was like 8 million naira. I know that some people will say you're stupid. We should have just done everything, collected the 60 something million. But it's not about that. It's about being able to deliver to your clients the best possible way. Sometimes it will not work. you know, and then you can retweak, take responsibility, retweak, fix it, and redo it again. But not, but a lot of people who are doing one size fits all because they did it for Antonia that is selling hair, so they will do it for Bimbo that is selling shoes, and they will do it for Jane that is selling dress, and it's just different. Bimbo's clients and Bimbo's target audience is different from Antonia's target audience is different. I mean, I just called 3 random names. I don't know anybody like that. If there are people with those names in the group, I didn't mean that. So you have to understand who you're selling to, where they are, what platforms you should use, and then utilize those platforms. It's not just about having money to promote a particular content or to dance. There was a time one lady was dancing to sell hair and it went viral. The next thing you know, everybody on Instagram was dancing. Everybody was dancing. Now I don't know who is buying hair from people that are dancing, but people typically copy as opposed to look for what fits their brand. That's why there's specific social media agencies that are very, very key on ensuring that it's not a one size fits all. We're looking at your brand and we're determining this is what you need, and then we're ensuring that that's what you're getting. Mr. Vic, you want to add to it?
Okay. Now the things about growing brands, as she said, it's exactly that. You have to first start with what you actually want to do. What's the objective? What do you want to achieve? Okay. Now, when you think of what you want to achieve, then you walk from the goal back. All right. So I'm thinking every day I want to get 20 customers, right? So you want to get 20 customers, you need to be sure of where those 20 customers spend their time. Okay. You need to be sure of the type of content those 20 customers consume. You need to know maybe what platforms those 20 customers like to use. All right. If you know, you probably have to know maybe the type of hashtags that they engage with, right? So if you spend your time there and you start having conversations with those 20 customers, all right, then your next plan will now be to move them from conversations, all right, down to conversion. All right. Now I have a training after they've all spoken, all right, and I'll be talking about strategy, funnels, and conversion. So we can deal a lot more as regards all of this. But I think what she said plus what I just said now should suffice for now before we get into the main class. Okay, is that fine? Hello, Ifoma.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that's
works.
right.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, Ized, I just wanted to ask a quick
I have to run.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you have to run, but a quick one. Sorry. For women now, are they in the digital space, right? Are there particular areas you feel that women can easily go in and they can easily dominate?
You know, the only way they will ask this question, you know, the question is coming from a man. Once you just hear this question, just know that it's coming from a man, because no woman will ask me this question. Because it's like you're limiting us to,
no, I'm not.
No, it's a limitation.
No.
Like, let's do the easy ones, or let's do one type, let the men do another type. I'm saying to all the women in this, there's absolutely
area,
nothing in the tech or digital space that a woman cannot do. Please, there's absolutely don't let anybody discourage you or tell you that that part is for men. There's absolutely, as a matter of fact, the reason why I call myself king, I said, is when they say the part is for men, that's the part I'm going. That's the part is the one that I will go and do. Then when I conquer it, let them come and tell me that, you know, it's for men. Because I've gotten a lot of that. Oh, you can't do that. That's typically men that handle that. Okay, I will go first. Let me get wrong results. And so far, I've not seen anything in the digital tech space that is limited to men or things that women cannot do. And I don't want any woman that I know to ever think that there's some sort of restriction on what they can achieve in the digital or tech space. And for context, I started learning tech very late, and I'm still learning, but I'm making money at it. I can't even lie. I can't lie. I'm making money at it. And I think that there's so much opportunity here. I mean, if 1 million people in Nigeria join digital, there'll still be opportunities. Is that amazing? Because there's no business or no brand that doesn't need marketing. And as soon as you set yourself apart using the things that I said in this meeting, as soon as you're able to set yourself apart, you don't need to market it again. I don't go anywhere to say, oh, work with me, I'm a digital media marketer. There's no need, because once you've set yourself apart and you build your brand, it will market you and people will market you, especially when you are doing good work. Imagine a tailor that is doing really, really good work and is delivering on time. That tailor does not work again because does not have rest, sorry, or does not market
your network.
Because every time somebody asks to whoever needs, so it's about setting yourself apart, showing thought leadership. I'm so sure. So sorry. I have to actually run because it's another meeting, but I really, really hope that I was able to give impact, knowledge, and this is my social media handles: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even emails. Just reach out to me. I promise I will respond and I will answer whatever questions that you have. Thank you so much. It was nice to meet everybody.
Thank you very much for the clan. All right, guys, thank you very much. So that was Ized. So any questions? If there are any questions, we can still tackle questions before. We have 5 minutes before our next speaker comes. Oh, our next speaker, yeah, my apologies. Say again. The clan. So our next speaker is already here, Mrs. Tonye Palogi Ekezie. She is here already. Her topic is Story 5. Why do we have that topic? People have been saying, how do I create content? How do I create content? How do I create content? And I tell them many times that content is actually you, as in it's around you, everywhere around you. You look to your left, you look to your right, you just live your life. That's content. All right. So it's everywhere around you, but many people do not understand that that's what it is. So in her case, she'll be talking about how her life's story has become her life's calling. All right. She's a fantastic content creator. All right. She's an accomplished movie person, as in she's a TV and movie person. You guys will meet her. So, but before that, can we have, if there are any questions, we have about 4 minutes to answer before she comes up. She'll be live at 1:40. So we have 4 minutes to go. If there are any questions, we could just, browse through, take it before we go. Are there any questions? I'm seeing any questions now. Nobody's asking. Okay, if you ask a question, I will give you puff puff and zobo. Oh yeah, ask.
I don't have questions to ask, but I'll take it for
Hello, ma. Okay, so Susan has a question. Susan.
I have a question, even though it was answered a little bit.
Okay.
So she was talking about the market, the digital market is so large enough for a lot of people to still earn from. And she talked about how she has earned and all that. Okay. And she also said setting yourself apart, especially when you're good at what you do, and it will market you. And that's really what is going on in my business right now. And I really thank God that at least she confirmed that with what she said. So, but my challenge here is now I'm trying to get it out online. So sometimes I get very, let's say, overwhelmed or discouraged when you want to, maybe you're about to maybe like put it in a course outline, write a course, they'll tell you launch your course and all that. There's a lot about it, and then you are being asked to get a coach, and getting a coach is not something that is beans. You have to pay them and all that. So that's true. So sometimes I look at them and I'm like, where do I start? As in, how little can I start at least to get to this digital space, to get there and then show what I can do and teach what I can do, and then to be able to earn as much as I wish to earn, and not just maybe dealing with people physically, because I know that the market out there, or people that may want to patronize you are much. So sometimes I get discouraged. I don't know how can somebody actually with the little space and time the person have, or will I say the person's capacity, how can the person just go into that space as little as the person have or can afford? I don't know how to put this in English, but I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Now, let me just explain something. This is how I started, right?
Okay.
Always pick out. She mentioned something as regards your mentors. Your mentors can be far away.
Yes.
Okay. So that was how it was for me. Okay.
Okay.
So I I have mentors in a variety of areas, as in just name it. I have mentors in a variety of areas, right?
Okay. Okay.
Maybe when you're thinking of how you can focus on something in particular, there's some people that you just notice that this person is very focused in this area and he just goes about what he's doing without fear or favor. I want to be like this person. All right.
Okay.
This person is fantastic in maybe keeping to time, and maybe you know that that's something you're struggling with. I want to be like this person. This other person is good with details, right? They can write everything down. They bought pin, they bought ice cream, they bought granuts, everything that they bought, they write all those details. You can also, that person can also be your mentor. Do you understand? So you can have a million mentors for a million things that you're probably struggling with, or things that you look, or things that you want to become. All right. So they can be close, they can be far, but really it might not be when you talk about paying for a coach and all that is when they become close, when you want them to get closer. All right.
Okay.
The first time I paid for coaching, it was who did I pay? It was Steve Harris. All right. Steve Harris coaching was the first coaching I paid for. Now let me explain how this happened. I didn't have the money at that time. It was many years ago, right? I didn't have the money at that time to pay for his coaching. And the coaching at that time was 30,000.
Okay.
30,000 naira. I didn't have 30,000 naira at that time. So I just got into Lagos, like maybe a year or two. Um, so then he advertised his coaching course and all that, and I wanted to do it, but I couldn't because I didn't have the money, right? But I didn't leave his page. So I was always in his page. I was always talking to him. When you are on his page, he's teaching and he's training. Do you understand? And you are learning from that.
Okay.
All right. He's sharing videos. He's giving free seminars. You are also learning from that. Okay. So you're picking those little things. You're picking those little things. You're applying them. You're getting closer and closer. You're gathering your money. Right. Then one day, out of the blues, um, he announced that somebody had paid for like 20 people or 10 people or so. Somebody had paid maybe like 10,000 off. All right. So it meant that you just had 20,000 to pay. You understand? You just had 20,000 to pay. And that was like an eye opener for me. Like, it's just 20,000 now. Guy, you have to sit up. And I was, I rallied around. I was able to raise 20,000 and I paid and I got into that space. Okay. And since I got into that space, I have remained very close close to him. So we have been close. He has been working with me, but that was how I entered. Are you getting what I'm trying to say now?
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes you might not have the big money to just go in. All right. So you probably have to spend time consuming the content that they are dishing out first. All right. The content that they are pushing out, how they are going about their stuff, consume that content. I remember there was a time somebody said I should mentor him. As she said right before she left, I really don't have that time.
Yeah.
And at first, when I was looking for a mentor, I didn't understand why they didn't have that. I was like, it's not just for you to just sit down and work with me. They were like, it's not really like that. You understand? But that was what I thought it was. So, but when I got on the other side and people were now asking me to mentor them, I now understood what my mentors were saying. It's not really like that. You want to make sure that you give the best value. All right. So you want to make sure you sit down and actually work with that person. Well, you might not have that time. It might just be once in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, as the case may be. All right.
Yeah.
So your best bet is bring the person close. Let the person take from the content you're already sharing. All right. So what I started doing then was I started making sure that I delivered value, very good value in the content I was pushing out. So content I was pushing out on social media, content I was pushing out across board, I was putting in a lot. So that when you even watch one video, you get something that would enable you deliver, enable you get results. All right. So it was me indirectly mentoring you without actually sitting down there with you to do it.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying now? So on my YouTube, I have over 100 videos. All right. 100 videos talking social media and all of this. Why do I have that out? So that people can just watch it. Sometimes people will ask me a question, I'll be like, I've already answered this question in the video I did 3 weeks ago. Please just go and watch. So it saves me that time. All right. But it still helps you get the value that you want. You get what I'm saying? Right? So when you start thinking of, how do I now go and pay this coach? It was so big. Somebody wanted us to handle something for her 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, right? And she felt it was going to be too expensive when she asked us. So she just felt I would rather not ask. All right. But maybe she had asked me, I would have probably told her, a way to go about it that probably won't cost her any money in her. But because of that, this coach, that's how it just happens. You understand what I'm saying, right? So don't be scared, don't feel overwhelmed. There's a lot of work, but you just have to keep pushing, keep doing your best. Consume the little that you see now, do a lot more work, make more money, and see how you can start paying for those courses. Because as much as I believe that people can learn from afar, you still need to get close, because some things cannot be taught, they have to be caught.
Exactly.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, I get
Right?
that.
There are some things you can't teach, but the person just sitting with you and observing, all right, the person just understands, okay, this is what you were trying to say. All right. So sometimes when I just tell some people, yeah, you probably have to work with me. All right. When you now work with me, then you'll be able to now see some of the things I will explain. I might not have the time to teach you, but when I say do this, do this, do this, you would actually learn from those instructions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that would actually help you in the end. All right. So I don't know if I've been able to help you. I hope I've not confused you the more.
No, you've not confused me. Convinced me.
All right,
Thank
all
you.
right. So glad I've been able to. Any other questions quickly before Mrs. Tonye
Where's
comes
my
on?
phone now?
Okay, your Zobo. Zobo is coming. Zobo is coming. You like big one or small one? Big Zobo, small one.
Big one, of course.
Okay. Okay.